Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode...
Number 33.
Well, if you listened carefully last week, you noticed we said 31 instead of 32. But
Oops.
We might have a little been grandparent-brained at the time.
We were a little distracted.
That's right. So forgive us. It really is 33.
For reals.
It's been interesting as we go throughout our coaching business and working with clients and in our own marriages. We often see many patterns and trends. And it's fun because we get to think about these and discuss them, and then we get to bring them to you and talk about them too. And we love to do that. So we had one today we wanted to talk about. We have seen often in our own marriage and again with our clients that as a spouse, we often talk in covert messages. That the questions that we're asking our significant other is not really the questions that we're seeking answers to, yet they're a cover trying to get an answer.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little about why we think we do this.
Yes. But first, I want to give you a little background of what's been on my mind. And this has been what we're going to talk about today has been a theme all week. And as I've been coaching, this image and picture keeps coming up of this classic musical. I love musicals.
I made Amy promise me she wasn't going to start singing, so we'll see how this goes.
Y'all are missing out. I'm not going to sing. All right. So I'm thinking of the classic musical Fiddler on the Roof.
If I were a rich man.
Tevye is in Ukraine. Oh, silly you. That is your favorite song. He's in Ukraine, and the Russian constable is in his tiny little town of Anatevka, and he's married to Golda and has 5 daughters. And it's the story of tradition and power and family and culture and religion.
How do I not break out in song? You can't do this and have me break out in song.
It's really hard. You don't realize the
very,
restraint
very
that's happening right now.
By the way, I think it was my dream in life. If I was to be any musical, I wanted to play Tevye in the Fiddler on the Roof.
You do a good job.
Yeah.
And there's this moment in the musical where they've had different daughters marry for different reasons. And it's the introduction of marrying for love instead of the matchmaker making a match. Yenta, the matchmaker.
Again, I'm like matchmaker.
I know, like it's so hard, y'all, not to just bust out.
We'll spare y'all.
Just so you know, in our home, very often there is just so much song and something spurs a song from somewhere and then we're singing. And so just recognize the restraint that we're exercising right now.
Although I was really disappointed yesterday because our landscaper Jose came over and Amy asked me if Jose was going to come over. I said, so can you see? And she couldn't figure out why I was singing the national anthem. I'm like, listen to what you just said.
I thought it was because we were going to the NASCAR race.
No, it's because Jose, can you see?
Okay. We're detoured. Okay, so in this musical, there's this moment where Tevye, the dairyman in Anatevka, a Jewish dairyman, turns to his wife Golda of 25 years. And asks,
this was placed back in the, 20s, the 30s?
1900, 1905.
Okay. Turn of the century.
Turn of the century. Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
And actually, Anatevka is a little town in Ukraine that was under Russian rule at the time.
Yep.
So he turns to his wife after pondering watching his daughters get married for reasons other than tradition and convenience. And he asks her, do you love me? I know Greg is like, yeah. I know it's so hard not to sing this.
Do you love me?
And she says, do I what?
Yeah, it was a shock to her.
Yes. And this is exactly conversations that happen all the time. And then you hear her say, do I love you? well, I guess I've done your laundry and I've slept with you and I've given you children and I've cooked for you and I've fed you. And she says, well, if that's not love, what is? And Tevye has this moment. Then you love me. And she says, it's so hard not to sing right now. I suppose I do.
And he says, and I suppose I love you too.
Yes. You're sneaking in this.
I know.
Do you know how hard it was?
I never promised. That? I made you promise.
It was so hard not to sing that.
Yeah, 25 years of marriage. And the question was, do you love me?
And honestly, we ask this question over and over and over and over, but we do it in such a covered, hidden way that most of the time our spouse has no idea we're asking that question or that we're even tracking that. And so what I love about this moment in Fiddler on the Roof is that Tevye is actually honest enough and vulnerable enough to ask. And how I see it play out.
It's a scary question.
I know, it's so vulnerable. In fact, I was coaching someone yesterday and this was the question that this gentleman was asking.
But not in that way.
And I said, why not just ask it? And he said, that would be really vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hear that answer. And I think that's exactly what we're avoiding. And so what I thought would be fun today, Greggy doesn't know this.
Oh boy.
Since you sang.
We sing our podcast?
No. But everyone, please go listen to this song from Fiddler on the Roof. It's
watch the movie for heaven's sakes if you haven't seen it.
It's so classic. Oh, I love that movie.
Our kids love it. Like they'll sing along.
And every time we watch it at a different stage in life, it has like a new meaning.
That's very true.
And new depth. Anyhow, we're sidetracked again. What I thought would be kind of fun is for us to each think of some of the ways that we did or do covertly ask this.
And then we can You've been thinking about this for 24 hours and now you put me on the spot.
To be fair.
You love me?
I love you. I suppose.
I'm not sure after doing this to me.
I love to surprise you.
Yes.
So I'll start to give you some time to think.
Okay.
No singing while I'm talking.
No, I just might. Can't do it.
Literally, though, that is running through my head right now, and it's a little distracting because that's all I can hear is Tevye and Golda singing Do You Love Me?
Our oldest daughter was in musicals in high school, and she's actually a music education major, and so there was music in our house at all times, singing, piano, whatever you call it. There's always music. Yeah. It got a little quieter when she moved out, but...
When they all played instruments.
Oh, yeah.
Cello.
We almost had a quartet. We couldn't convince the youngest to do a
violinist, vocalist.
They need a viola, and we would have had the whole thing, but he wanted to be a violinist.
Yes. Okay. Back to our focus.
All
so
right.
I remember secretly tracking you all the time in a lot of ways. And I made this tracking like measuring whether or not you loved me.
It was a love-o-meter?
It was a love-o-meter. Exactly. Okay. It was a track-o-meter. Do you love me? But I never said... this is what it means to me. So, for example, if there were dishes in the sink.
Oh, boy.
And you walked past them.
I didn't love you.
My little brain would go, he must not love me. He just walked past those dishes and he didn't even think of doing them.
That was exactly what I was trying to say.
Now, I never expressly said the dishes... I have given the dishes the equivalent of your love, or I have made whether or not you do the dishes mean that you love me. I never explicitly stated that. I might say something like, I really wish you'd do the dishes.
Okay.
No, not now, like in the past.
I'm just saying, okay. But that's what I would say, okay. And then, by the way, I would do them wrong and she would redo them. So that was a challenge.
And he would go, well, why did I even do that anyways? And so here we are thinking we're talking about dishes. And he would say, well, I've worked all day and, you're home. And we would be like in this conversation about the dishes and not realizing that what me was making the dishes mean was a measure of whether or not you loved me.
Why is that? Was it because that was something that you didn't want to do or that you were busy or doing? You felt like if someone loved you, they would help? Was it a martyr kind of thing? Why was it a measure of love over dishes?
I think because what was heavy on me at the time was keeping up with housework. And because that was such a heavy load, and, with kids constantly eating and constant messes, that was one way. It was like, well, if he loved me, he would lighten this load. He would do this thing. And yet I never realized, first of all, that I was doing that. And second of all, that that's what I was really asking. And if I had said, what I'm really asking is, do you love me? You could say, yes, I love you. And loving you can sometimes mean doing the dishes and sometimes not.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go at. This is the problem that I see with this whole thing. Not only do we not ask, but when we place the measurement of love on something, in fact, I think even placing a measurement on this is a problematic thing, but we can get to that too. But when we put it on a something or an act, then it really removes the choice for me.
Yes, absolutely.
So then I would, because I was doing them so I could get laid, by the way.
And only
do that for laid. And then once I found out it was something, because later on you opened up about how important it was to you, not necessarily correlated exactly with the love, but I kind of understood, okay, this means that she feels cared for if I do it. But it seemed to be not out of a choice at that point.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example.
No, absolutely. Because when we are tracking and measuring, we actually don't want the outcome or the measurement that says you don't love me.
Actually, so even though you get it and you measure it, it's not really what you're trying to measure. And so it doesn't suffice, and it doesn't really curb that angst that you really have, which is, do you love me?
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, another perfect example, I think, all around this one was making the bed.
Yes.
And I knew that time what it meant, because you explicitly told me, like, hey, when you make the bed, it means that you care for me and love me. And there's many times when I poutingly made the bed, like, oh, dang it. If I don't make the bed, she's going to be like, he doesn't love me. And I can't believe I have to do this. And I want a messy bed. I don't care. And I spent years doing that until I got a little more control of myself and realized I don't have to make the bed, because it really is not a measurement of my love. And it was weird, because in the moment I said I don't have to make the bed, I get to choose. Guess what I do every morning?
Yeah, you do make the bed.
Because Amy doesn't make it right.
Now he is so specific and particular.
These wrinkles in the middle of bed. I can't do that.
He's so specific about his bed making.
It's pretty funny.
It's actually adorable. But what I see is couples having this conversation in so many ways. They're saying, if you didn't get frustrated with me, then I would know you love me. If you initiated sex, then I would know you love me.
Hey, you're stealing my...
Oh, sorry. We'll give you time.
Oh, it's done now. Just spurted it right out.
But we do it in such
hidden
ways that couples get into this fight, and they are fighting about, let's take the bed. Who's making the bed, and who's busier, and who has more time, and who does it right, and does it even matter? And you're having this whole conflict and fight and argument over the bed, and it's not about the bed.
Yeah. It's
or you're fighting about the dishes.
It's like the video with a nail in the head. That's what it makes me think of.
It's not about the nail. You haven't seen the video,
there's a lady that has a nail in her head, and she's complaining to her husband about how much her head hurts. And every time her husband tries to tell her that's the nail in her head, she's like, it's not the nail in my head.
I'm having so many headaches, and I just don't feel right. And my sweaters are getting snagged. And he's
excuse me. It's nothing to do that.
But I think the nail in the head in what I see in so many conversations in couples is we are constantly asking, do you love me?
Yeah.
Do you care about me? Do you respect me? And while I know that's human nature, I'm going to get to why that's problematic, but I want you to share yours first from your side.
Let me give you one example, and then we'll get to why we think we do it and why it causes problems. Literally, Amy said it, and we all know here, I spent a lot of years in trying to get Amy to initiate sex. If she loved me and wanted me and desired me, then I wouldn't have to be the one to initiate sex.
And if I didn't initiate, what did it mean to you?
I mean, you didn't love me. That if I wasn't desirable, that there was something wrong with me. And I had this thought in my mind that I would come home and that she would be so turned on just to be with me, which I don't know why that thought's in my head. Now I think about it.
You would create it over
maybe
and over.
I am that good looking. I don't know, but that was funny. I just said it out loud. I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't know. It's just something we put in place, right? We're like, we chose to marry each other. That would be the measurement of ultimately desiring me would be she would just jump my bones every time she saw me.
Yeah. Every work trip you came home, which by the way, after every
vacation we went on to,
I was exhausted from managing all the 4 kids.
Like we didn't get laid for a month because it wasn't that long, but it was a good week where we were grumpy with each other and we knew it was a sore subject, but we didn't address it.
Yes.
Because the problem is then we did it and you did it out of duty anyway. And so then I just took something from the person I cared about, something that was really supposed to be important. It was awful. It was an awful
even if I complained or said, why didn't you help me with the dishes? The dishes are still sitting there. You got up from the dinner table and went to the couch and didn't go to the dishes. Then if you got up to do them, it didn't feel like love. And yet, because it was out of duty and obligation. You went to bed
and fell asleep and didn't jump my bones. You must not love me.
Right.
And then if you did, I'm like, oh, you're just doing this to make me not be a whiner.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bad pattern to be in.
And yet we all do it.
So let's pull back the covers and think about this for a little bit. We have been talking about this a lot. I think we go back to, again, how our brains are wired. It really comes down to this always. And we kind of fall back on this a lot because it's the foundation of how we have relationships. And I think it's the way that we process our own emotions and understand our mind and what's going on, right? It's that mind that's telling us there's something wrong if something's not happening, right? It's that amygdala that's firing off telling us like, your wife doesn't love you. She doesn't love you. She doesn't love you. She doesn't love you. If she doesn't love me, then she's going to leave me. I'm going to be alone. And then everyone's going to look at me as a failure and life's going to be terrible. It can go all those different places. And I ultimately think it's that sounding in our mind, that anxiety that our mind can bring up that we're trying to calm.
And we talked last week a lot about the different stages. And when you are developing as an adult in a marriage, in a relationship, you want your marriage to be what maybe a parenting role should have been. Meaning that a role for parents to children is to just unconditionally love them and to shower that love upon them and to take care of them. That is the role of a parent to a child, and then to allow them their independence. And we go into marriage thinking, I'm marrying this person and I'm securing the one who's just going to shower me with love and adoration and make me feel the best. And yet you get married and they start exposing your weaknesses and not showering you with love and not seeing that the dishes is so meaningful or whatever it is, or that initiating sex. And I think it's that looking outside of you to try and get something.
Try either, like I said, try to calm that anxiety or measure your worth, right?
We do this in social settings in a stage too, also, where you walk into a room and immediately think, will I be accepted? Will I be received? Are these people going to approve of me? And then start all of the shape-shifting, people-pleasing, performing, whatever, to try and get this room of people to adore you. And as you move to that self-authoring, self-accepting, again, this doesn't mean egotistical, I'm the best, or indulgent, or selfish. This is not like that at all. This is, I'm not looking to my spouse to define whether or not I'm worthy of love. I'm not looking to this room of people to tell me whether I'm worthy. I'm not looking to my children to perform in a certain way so that I feel validated as a parent. It's about taking that self-definition back in yourself. And the ironic thing is, when you do that, you actually start receiving a lot more love and validation. So this is the irony. Here we are in all of these conflicts and different situations in marriage, and we do naturally put out a bid, and we put out a lot of different bids. That's what John Gottman calls them. A bid is anything that you put out into your relationship that says, hey, do you care about me? Do you love me? Are you interested in me? And this can be anything from, hey, look at this funny reel.
I like birds.
Hey, look out the window.
Amy had a client where the wife was like, I love birds. And he's like, I don't care about birds.
Right. And it's not about the bird.
And it's not about the birds.
It's about, are you interested in my well-being? And so when you, as couples, start to recognize, first of all, that these bids are happening, then you can speak to that first. And also within yourself, notice that I am asking my spouse to tell me I'm lovable, to tell me I'm desirable. And instead of asking, it becomes far more productive to ask yourself, how do I want to be loving? How do I want to choose my spouse? How do I want to cherish them, instead of, are they doing enough for me? Am I getting enough? Am I getting as much as I'm giving? Are they measuring up to my standard? So it's this whole different perspective shift, and you take the measure out of someone else. You stop measuring, you stop tracking, you stop trying to extract this from others, and you settle your own self down to decide that, again, not egotistical, but like, I am lovable. I am desirable. And I want to be loving here. What would love do? What would love look like? And so it's like a complete shift, which is actually far more empowering than putting that in someone else. When I was believing that whether or not you did the dishes meant you loved me, it was disempowering me and creating the feeling of unloved. And yet you were being very loving of me.
Yeah. And this is the craziest part. We're asking our spouse to do something that they can't even do. No matter what they say, even if I did the dishes every day, it was Amy's brain that had to decide whether that said that I loved her or not. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, like you said, even if I did it, it didn't fit that measurement because it was our brains trying to understand that. So we can't even fulfill that part for our spouse, but we ask over and over and over again. And as Amy talked about it, like when we decide that we're going to control the thing we can control, and that's us and how we're going to show up and how we're going to step into the marriage and how we're going to choose to love our spouses and what that looks like, and stop forgetting about whether we're going to have to measure whether they love us. All the things that you were trying to measure before kind of happen. I mean, you've initiated sex way more than ever before. And now when you do it, I know it's because you not only desire and love me, but you desire yourself. And it's such more meaning to it than it was if I was like, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?
Right. Because it's freely chosen. There's freedom
in there.
There's
choice in there. But it's so counter to the way that our minds work and the way we've been taught. Again, we were taught, hey, we're stepping into this marriage and we're choosing someone who's going to take care of us for the rest of our lives. And, wife's going to nurture you and the husband's going to protect you, and it's going to be this glorious, blissful thing.
Or your wife is always going to want to initiate sex, and she's going to be all over you.
That's probably part of marriage.
She's going to want to flirt and text and make out with you.
Right.
And you have this as like this measuring stick. And I want to say, drop the measuring stick.
Get rid of it.
It's not helpful at all. Stop. We have this, my brother loves to say, stop it or I'll bury you alive in a box.
Yeah. Bob Hope show.
The Bob Hope show.
Bob Hope was actually a therapist in the Bob Hope show, and he's sitting having a therapy session, and someone comes into him and says, I have a phobia about being buried alive in a box. And he goes, okay. He says, stop it. And they said, what? He's like, stop it or I'll bury you alive in a box. That was the way of doing therapy.
Yeah, not so effective, but it is kind of funny sometimes.
I don't know.
We're like, stop it. Drop the measuring stick. There's nothing productive that comes from having a measuring stick of your spouse and to be like covertly always asking, do you love me? If you want to know, be direct. Be like Tevye and ask, do you love me?
That's right.
Making all of these other things markers or measuring sticks for whether or not your spouse loves you is kind of a dangerous trap. And you will be like almost like strangling them or trying to control or manipulate or distance or punish or judge to try and get them to do this thing or to say this thing or to be this way. And it doesn't work.
Right. I have vivid memories that are coming back to me right now.
Yeah. This should be fun.
Even to the point where I had kind of figured out, okay, this is not a good thing to do. It took me years to figure out how to stop doing it, by the way. And I literally remember, especially on the sexual realm, I learned, okay, there's different desires and people act differently. And we'd been taught the word lower and higher desire. We don't really like that because it kind of says one is better than the other, but we like to call it spontaneous and responsive now. But I learned that was all there. And I can remember standing in the shower and just having these flood of emotions and thoughts of, I can't believe I do all these things, and the only thing I ask for is to have sex. And that's the only thing I look for. And it's so important to me. Why wouldn't Amy understand how important that is to me?
Why wouldn't she just do this thing for me?
And it was even to the point where I knew I didn't want duty sex. I knew what that was and looked like. But it took a lot of that. And I don't know exactly what flipped it. I know it started when I had to ask questions that were hard to ask. We talk about, ask the question, do you love me? The reason we don't do it is because we're scared. Oh, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
We don't say that because we don't really want to know. Jennifer Finlayson Fife often says, we say we want intimate marriages, but in truth, we don't. We just want someone to coddle us and be our parent.
Right. Intimate marriages require a lot of courage and vulnerability and honesty.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
And I probably started at a point where I was brave enough to know, okay, I don't want this. And not only do I not want this, but I need to really be honest and learn about who I am and how do I impact Amy. And it was when I asked those questions of how is it hard to be married to me, and got some real answers that really sucked. But I knew they were true, that probably that's where the process started. And I started changing for real. Even knowing all this stuff, I still wasn't in a spot of, I wasn't saying it out loud. My behavior had changed. I wasn't acting badly. I'd become a non-grabby, needy person, but I was still having these floods of emotions that I was dealing with all by myself. I know you said you used to go to the shower to cry. I don't cry all the time. But you're like, you talked about when you were in the saddest moments, you go to the shower because no one can tell you're crying.
I learned in college, I lost my father when I was in high school to a sudden heart attack. And I learned at home that crying meant someone had to then take care of me. And we were all surviving at that point. And so I learned to cry in the shower. Yeah. So when I went to college, so that others wouldn't feel the need to comfort me or take care of me, I cried alone in the shower.
So maybe
and I learned that, you're all wet anyways.
I was alone. Yeah, alone. So I don't know why, but that just vividly comes back to me of having those thoughts of, I learned logically why I shouldn't do it, but my emotions hadn't caught up yet. And they were still very much a tit for tat measurement of, does she love me?
And we feel so justified.
Yeah.
This is the thing. You feel so like, I felt so much like, literally, if he would just do this thing, look at all of the things I do for him. I am just asking for a little support, or for your side, I'm just asking for a little initiation. Why is this so hard to give? So the justification around that really keeps us stuck in the measuring.
And I had this awful thought. I almost hate to say it out loud because it was awful, dear. But I've heard clients say it too. So I know it's just not me. So I should say it. If I give in, she wins.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
And they're very much about like,
it's crazy, but that's what I thought.
I just admit what's my part in this.
She wins.
They win.
Yeah.
He will win. And I don't want to surrender anything here. I'm going to hold my ground, because even though this little part may be true, that's not.
It wasn't winning at all. It was a lose situation. There was no winning at all. That's the crazy part. But my mind literally thought, if I give in and I do these things and I admit that I am a part of this problem in the equation, I lose. She wins. That sucks.
Good old power. And again, that justification keeps you in that power struggle.
Yeah. It's like, I got to fight because I got to fight for what's right for me.
And we're fighting to know that we're lovable.
Yep.
And again, the other person
can't even tell you that.
Yes. Can't give you that knowledge. It is your own self-definition that has to decide that. Your own identity, your own sense of worth. It's your own personal journey. And each person on their own personal journey has to face some demons and some negative narratives. And I walk a lot of clients through whatever some people like to call them demons, some call them negative narratives, some false narratives. Like, it is a process to really come to terms with who you are, to be able to accept yourself, to be able to see your worth and your lovability, and that you have weaknesses and flaws and make mistakes. And it's so funny that, again, it's a surrender to self-author, and yet we would rather be in this power struggle conflict, fighting with our spouse to win, but we always are losing. And so you have this same fight over and over about different, the subject of the fight seems to be different, but the context, the subtext of it is the same. Whether it's about dishes or bills, or did you put the kids to bed, and did you do this? And for me, it was like, did I answer your text message? Did I kiss you back? Did I initiate? Like, it's maybe different little circumstances, but the subtext is all the same.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Mm-hmm. And, thoughts come to mind of a recent coaching session with a client too, is that it's so much easier to be able to love someone else. I was asking him about how it was going, and everything he responded back tied back to his wife. Every single thing. Mm-hmm. And I dug a little bit, and the same kind of responses. And I asked, do you see a pattern in this? And he was like, no. I said, how come you attach your wife to every answer? I said, what about you? He goes, oh, I can't do that. I said, what is the voice in your head telling you? It's like, it's very ugly.
Yeah.
It's very mean. And we're so easily able to talk to ourselves like that, ways that we would never, ever consider, probably even talking to a stranger. Mm-hmm. We say things to ourselves. We spent a lot of that coaching session talking around that and understanding why and what needed to happen. But it was really all tied back to, he could see his value in his wife. He could see how he could love his wife and care for her. That's easy to see, although they don't think we're doing it the right way, right? But we can see it. I love Amy. That was no question, right? I love her. But can we say that about ourselves? Mm-hmm. And what we're trying to say, I think, is until we can self-author that and know that we are okay and we love who we are, the whole mess of who we are, because I am messed up, let me tell you. And I admit it wholeheartedly.
A beautiful mess, babe.
Yeah, and I'm not, but that's what I'm saying. Before it was, I'm messed up and oh my gosh, I got to stop being who I am. That's what I used to think.
No.
Now I'm like, I am messed up and it's glorious.
That's right. It's a glorious mess.
It's just a beautiful mess.
And this is my beautiful, messy, human, divine life.
We try to get rid of humanness.
Yeah.
We try to say we don't really need the experience that we're here for. And we can negate it all because we're perfect and we don't need to be that way. Or
we try to avoid mistakes and flaws and failures, and we actually need them.
And we need them. So it's a different saying in my head. I don't ignore the messed upness. I just know that's part of me, and that, there's things that I respect and things I don't respect, and those things I don't respect, I'll work on. But in the meanwhile, I am lovable, and there's great things about me, and I add value to the world, and I add value to our marriage. Mm-hmm. Those are all things I couldn't say 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. And when you're trying to get that from someone else, it's impossible. And yet we keep trying.
So maybe we should change the words of the songs. Do I love me?
That's right. Do I love me?
We want you to all sing along with us. Come on. Say it to yourself. Do I love me?
Do I love me? And again, it's not an egotistical better than being above or superior to others. It is not that, nor is it putting yourself below and being like groveling or diminishing yourself.
Victim. You don't want to be a victim.
No, it's not that either. It's saying the humanness in me recognizes the humanness in you, and the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. I see my worth and I also see yours. It's when you actually can see your worth, you see it and respect it in others too. And when you don't see your own and you're trying to get it from others, and you try to get it in all these little ways where you're measuring and tracking. Did my spouse look at me this way? Did their tone of voice communicate cherishing and loving? Did they respond in the way that validates that they love me? And you know what? Your spouse isn't, because they're human. Right. They're not going to always do the thing. And when you stop trying to get it,
you open up the space for them to give it.
Exactly.
Because you're not trying to extract it. That's the crazy part. Just calm the hell down and stop.
Stop it.
Stop it, or I'll bury you alive in a box.
Stop it.
It could work. We should start using that in our coaching sessions. And
it does take a lot of courage and bravery to face those inner critical and negative narratives, to face those demons. Yes. But as you do, you see the depth of your relationship with yourself open up, which as a byproduct opens you up more to your spouse. There's more freedom and ease to be you, more freedom and ease in your relationship. The quality of your conversations changes. I find they're less conflictual because you don't have all these hidden meanings you're trying to extract. And so if you're having a conversation about the dishes, it can be about the dishes, not whether or not you love me. Because when we're thinking it's about whether or not you love me, we're really regressive and reactionary. And we really start doing things that we don't respect. And sometimes we don't understand. We're like, why is this such a big deal? Like, why can't I get over this? And it's because what you're really asking is, do you love me? And instead it needs to be,
do I respect myself?
Do I respect myself? And then the next question is, and how do I want to love you?
Yep. The things that we can control. And again, I know we're kind of getting like a broken record saying this again, but this never goes away. I don't think you solve it. You don't one day say, oh, I love myself, and then forever there, evermore. You never have the self-doubt questions that come to your mind. In fact, they come just as loud, I think, as before, but we recognize them a little more. And sometimes we don't even recognize them. And there's recent past history where Amy's like, where the hell is that coming from? Like, just even my actions. She's like, that doesn't add up. The response you're giving me does not add up to what the response should be. And I would not recognize what was going on. And it would take a moment to go think about where I was at. And usually it comes back to the point where I don't respect myself, or that I'm being challenged with something that I can't deal with. And I have anxiety about it. And I'm acting out in a way that I don't respect. But I don't even notice it. But the nice thing is when we can be honest with each other and have these conversations. If Amy would have pointed that out to me before, watch out.
Right.
They would have been poking the bear and I'd have been.
Greggy has quite the bear. But when
it goes away fast, but it comes on strong.
It comes on fast and strong, and it also goes away fast and strong. But when you can say, I feel like there's something else going on here, like there's a deeper meaning, or when you can say, I made whether or not you do the dishes mean you love me, then the other spouse is, oh, that's what we're really talking about.
Curiosity and understanding.
Yeah.
But I say that because even as you work through this, you're still going to have it. And it's really that open communication between each other to be willing to say that what it's really going on.
In fact, it happened this morning.
When all the things you want to do around the house?
Yeah, I was like, Greggy, I'm dreaming of beadboard in our bathroom and putting this up. And wouldn't this just be lovely? Now, subtext, if you love me, you'll be so excited about hanging beadboard and you'll want nothing more than to jump on this project with me.
And I said, yeah, okay. How are you going to get it around the toilet fixings? And she's like, that's how it happens. I'm like, okay, that's how it happens for me, because I'm going to be the one putting around the toilet fixings.
And then
fixtures.
What did you say that was so dead on? You're like, I think you want me to be really excited about this so that you feel justified being excited.
I said you're trying to extract something out of me.
Oh, yeah.
And you looked at me like you were mad at first. You're like, oh boy. I'm like, uh-oh, poke the bear.
Not mad, just, oh shoot, yeah. I want you to jump up and down when I share this idea, because then that means you love me. And I'm like, oh, I know he loves me. I also know hanging beadboard in a bathroom may not be his first choice of things. So the beadboard is not a measure of whether or not you love me.
That's the funny thing, is it comes out differently now because we know better in ways, but yet it still comes out.
Because we're human. That's what I want to say. If you can see it in yourself, oh, I'm creating this meaning. he should be so excited because he loves me that he wants nothing more than to jump on this project and run to Home Depot or wherever the hell they sell beadboard. I don't even know. You can tell
be fine.
I am not the crafty one.
She has some crafty ideas though.
Yes, I do. And it would be like, oh, that means he loves me so much. And I can step back and say, no, he can absolutely love me and absolutely not want to hang beadboard in the bathroom. And doesn't have to be excited about my idea either. Although he can show interest.
Not show enough interest.
No, you show enough interest. You can be honest. But I guess what I'm saying, maybe a few years ago, this conversation about beadboard could have easily spiraled into a fight of, do you love me or not? And then me making it mean, no, you don't love me. And then maybe withdrawing or punishing till it pulls you forward. And you're like, I guess I got to do the beadboard so she's not mad at me. Because, and all the time, what we're really negotiating is, do you love me?
Yeah. So I need some help here, folks. In the comments, if you've ever put beadboard up in a bathroom and cut around the toilet fixtures, the water coming out of the wall, put it in the comments how you did it, what tools you use. So the way I get excited about this is when I get to buy a new tool. So I'm sure, 100% sure, when the carpenters came in and they put in our bookshelves, they had the coolest tool, and I think that's the way to fix it. It was like just a little thing that vibrated, and no, I don't get excited when I say vibrate. It vibrated on the end, and so they could cut out the openings for the plugs. And I think it's the perfect tool. So I might be able to do this beadboard, maybe if I have the right tools.
Do you love me?
If you let me buy a new tool, yes. So we better stop before we break into song. Our ratings will go down 100%.
For sure.
If we're breaking a song, but what we're trying to say is this relationship thing is tough sometimes. We're really trying just to navigate it the best way we can. And sometimes we don't do a good job of it.
Yeah.
And we really, on the very bottom line, is we want to be chosen and loved.
Yep.
I don't think I have ever had a client that that's been the foundation of what they're trying to get to.
And yet
we choose and love me.
Make someone do that.
That's what's so frustrating.
Yes. The only thing we can do is decide to choose and love ourselves and another. That we have control over, that we can show up. It's inherently risky and vulnerable. It takes a lot of courage, and it is not always the most comfortable thing to do. We would much rather blame, judge, deny, attack, criticize, measure, do all these other things of our spouse than say. In fact, in my coaching the other day, the man was like, if I just wondered, do you love me? That would be really uncomfortable to ask. I'm like,
yep.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the direct answer. That's the funny part. But if we ask it in covert ways, we can justify our mind whether they're answering it or not.
Yes. And so often it's not about love. And if you can separate the love from the conversation, for example, whether or not Greggy decides to hang beadboard in my bathroom is not a measurement of his love for me. I know he loves me.
We should start a poll on the thing, that how long it's going to take it to have beadboard in the bathroom.
And then we could talk about the beadboard or not the beadboard and whether that's a thing, and separate out the question of it being a measurement of love for me. This
is tough, but there's ways that could be amazing and that you can overcome some of these challenges and struggles. And by no means are we perfect, but we've had this great blessing of not only working on our own, but be able to work with hundreds of clients and
each other. Like, honestly, we do so much of our own work.
That's what the blessing that I guess I'm trying to get to is that I finished coaching the other day, and one of my clients went in to thank us for what we were doing. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. But in some ways I feel we're selfish because the ability for us to be able to talk about marriages and relationships every day is so important. And it's not only just important for the people that we coach, but it's important for us. And the blessing of being able to see people change and grow and take on hard things allows us to grow and take on hard things too. And so thank you so much for being part of this in any little way. We love it when you listen, and we'd love more comments if you have any. So please email us or put it in the comments and we'll read it. But thank you so much. We love this work and we would love to work with you. If you want to join us, come to langfordlifecoaching.com and click that little free consult button. And we would love to chat with you.
And if you're feeling brave, try and recognize in your conversations where you are asking your spouse if they love you. and be honest about it.
Yeah. And you could shock your spouse.
That's my challenge.
Oof.
It's a big one.
Yep.
And yes, we do actually benefit so much from our associations with you, from coaching with you, from learning with you. We are always learning, and we want to take you along on the journey because it has been so impactful for us. I think the amount of joy, and then there's a measure. I don't want to say amount. I think the ease of joy and connection is the byproduct of this work. And that's what we want to share with you.
So go like and subscribe. Until next time.
Keep undressing your intimacy.
Bye-bye.